Good afternoon, Vanessa. How are you?
Good afternoon. I'm all right, thank you. But I wonder if you are after that verdict. How are you feeling? It's taken an awfully long time to get here, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has, and it's been imperfect, but, I feel vindicated. 7 out of 8 charges being upheld. And, one of the main reasons I spoke out was around institutional racism at Yorkshire County Cricket Club. And, that was admitted prior to the hearing. So, yeah, I feel vindicated.
I wonder, what do you think about Michael Vaughan, however? In the judgment, the panel said one of the problems was that some of the evidence said that Michael Vaughan used the phrase, I mean, you know all this, Azeem, forgive me repeating it for the billionth time, but he used the phrase, we need to do something about that. But other people thought that he had said, we need to talk about that. I think some people are thinking it's not that surprising that there's a difference, given that we're asking people to remember exactly and precisely what was said 14 years ago.
Yeah, look, I want to try. I've said right from the start, I don't want this to be about individuals. I had to speak about my experiences. And while doing that, I had to give examples of why I felt Yorkshire was institutionally racist with a culture of racism and bullying, which is what I did. I think it's unfortunate that it became about individuals through the lack of process that was handled at the initial investigation.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's very important now that this is a time for everyone to take stock, really reflect, learn, and commit to making cricket better for everyone.
I mean, it's interesting because you've had a journey of your own towards the conclusion and evolution that you've reached right now. When you talk about people having to reflect and take stock and think about what they've said and what they felt and why they said it, not least yourself. So maybe you'll tell us a little bit about your own journey.
Yeah, Vanessa, a couple of days after my first DCMS appearance, old anti-Semitic Facebook messages of mine surfaced. And I remember it very clearly at the time. I said to my team, I was like, this is going to be uncomfortable and I deserve it. But actually, for the wider cause, it will be really good. Another minority group comes involved. And from my point of view, I will apologise without any excuse and make sure that that's only the start. And, I've been on a journey. I'm incredibly thankful to the Jewish community and I've made friends for life. I've had some experiences which I didn't even know. I've been to Auschwitz, which, was, I wouldn't call incredible, but it was such a tough experience, but one I felt I learned a lot from.
Do you think that the anti-Semitism that you expressed was what's described as casual racism? In other words, something that you said unthinkingly, without real malice and real hatred? Or do you think that you felt genuine animosity, hostility towards Jewish people simply for being Jewish? You thought that they were other or different or worse or something particular? Was it something you said without thinking or with thinking, would you say?
Look, it wasn't something I remembered or something I had knowledge about. When I went on my journey, I met Holocaust survivors and I went to the Jewish Museum. That was the first I learned of the connotation behind what I'd said.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I think it's very important that at no point would I describe or minimize anything. It hurt a group of people. A lot of them would supported me in my fight. And, for me, it's really important around language, and we need to stop trying to find ways to minimize what someone at the other end might feel. I said something that clearly hurt people, and it was important for me to apologize and then leave it for them to decide whether that's accepted or not.
But did you say it, do you think, because you were brought up to believe it? Did you say it because the climate, the atmosphere was such that you knew you could say that kind of thing because other people said similar things? I suppose what I'm trying to establish, Azeem, is the idea of cultural racism, institutional racism, an actual place, a business, an office, a cricket club, where racism is just part of the conversation and people are so at home with it, so relaxed about it, so immune to it or whatever it is, that it kind of flourishes to the point where you're the guy that blows the whistle. So I'm trying to establish, I suppose, the setup where those sorts of comments are deemed acceptable, I suppose.
Well, I mean, in a way, what I did with that was prove my own allegations, really. My fundamental thing was that it's so normalized, it's so that everyone said things and no one ever blinked an eye or said that that's not acceptable. You know, that was on my social media profile. You know, I was a professional cricketer at the time, and we've seen other instances with other sports players or cricketers specifically, and that's the fundamental point. It's so normalized, it's so embedded that actually people don't see anything wrong with it. There's also, you know, there's the other side, and there is some, you know, which is a lot more than that. But you know, it starts off. The one thing I learned from Auschwitz was it starts off with language and words, and you know, that was discrimination at its worst form, but it starts off somewhere.
Do you believe that Yorkshire cricket is ripe for reformation? Do you think that people will share your aversion to racism, will realise how painful and how destructive, how dangerous words are, and also thoughts, and also phrases, and also behaviour? It's not just words. Do you think that they will understand, and do you think that there will be real change?
I'm not sure. I think over the last few weeks at Yorkshire again, there seems to be, you know, it again goes down to language. You know, I've heard stuff like it's just a blip, we'll get over it. There's been other things said recently, and it worries you. And I'm not sure. And I think as humans, until we sit down, start talking, and really, you know, understanding each other's perspective, but I think leadership really needs to start learning how much language matters. You know, you might think, oh, well, you know, I was talking about something else when I was describing it as a blip, and we just need to move forward from it. But there's a lot of people that have suffered a lot of abuse over a period of years, and then listening to that, it will hurt. So, yeah, I think as workplaces, as sporting environments, we've got a long way to go, and it's high time we start doing something about it.
Here, here.